let's start with let's start with you. How about that? Um, I've said that I think Tennessee will win 9 games, but if you made me make a mortgage payment, I'm probably rethinking that. So, where would you be on how many games does Tennessee win this year? Six or less, seven, eight, or nine, or more?
I would go, I think 8. I think 8 would be my choice.
I think eight's for me personally the safe bet, but I do think they'll win 9. So I guess I will just go ahead right now, and I will say 9. I think that I think that 8 is just super easy, Amanda. I look at this schedule, and I'm not trying to raise expectations. Please know that. But when I look at this schedule and this team and what they have coming back, doesn't it seem like eight's relatively easy? The over under in Vegas is 7.5. I don't see that being a monstrous challenge for Tennessee.
Well, Vegas doesn't lose typically. I mean, they
I
always know something. But I mean, looking at their schedule, looking at Tennessee's schedule, Ball State's a given, Akron's a given, UT Martin's a given, and I think Vanderbilt's a given. Those are 4 given wins, no doubt about it. If it's if the spread is Tennessee 21, I'll take them every time over any of these teams. Now, where you get hairy is you have Pitt at the beginning. I think that
right.
Tennessee wins that, but I don't know if they necessarily. I wouldn't bet everything on it like I would the other 4. So
No,
that's a
yeah, if you made me bet, a tuition payment for one of my kids, I would have to go 8. But do I believe
yeah.
they'll win 9? Yeah, I really do. So if you want to, let's go through some of these swing games since we're on this topic, and
Okay.
you can vote on Twitter. But some of these swing games, so let's go through it. Ball State,
Mm-hmm.
that's a win. Okay, right?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
stop me if you disagree. Pitt is is a bit of a swing game, but I think that's a revenge game. I think Tennessee should have won last year had Hendon Hooker been the full time guy. I think they win that game. No Kenny Pickett, even though it's at Pitt. That to me is closer to um, a expected win than a swing game. So I technically don't have that in my swing game category. You may.
I have them at winning around 70%. If I were like doing the odds, I would say the chances of them winning that game are 70%.
Okay, so let's say swing game's closer to the 60 or 50%. So you've
Yeah.
got them winning that game fairly confidently. Akron is a win. Okay, now we get to the swing games, which is where it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is going to be at home. Billy Napier is still finding his team. I hear great things about him. I think Tennessee should be concerned about him in 2025. I don't know about 2022. So I've actually got Tennessee beating the Gators, even though I don't feel great about it because the streak history tends to repeat itself. But when I look at the rosters, I think the fact that it's at home, this is a better football team. So I've got Tennessee winning that game, which would I think definitely be a swing game for us both.
It's a swing game. I'd go Tennessee, but I give them a 55% shot.
So that's a swing game.
It's a
Okay,
swing
so
game. I would lean Tennessee, but I wouldn't bet on it.
LSU is definitely a swing game. I've got Tennessee actually winning at Baton Rouge as well.
Brian Kelly has them pumped up. Like he has them pumped up. And if what the analysts were saying at SEC Media Days is true, if they are really ready to play, because they have the talent. LSU always has the talent. They have the talent. It lives in their backyard. I mean, they can go out and just pick it. So winning in Death Valley is very difficult.
Uh,
Take it from me.
True.
I
And I was talking to
It's very
somebody
difficult.
last night, late last night, that's very close to LSU's program, and he said Brian Kelly has already made them significantly better, which doesn't say a lot because it really went off the rails under Ed Orgeron. But he's saying Brian Kelly has already made them better. He has put a structure in place. So you might see the type of jump up season that Tennessee saw last year with a new head coach. Now, and we know Brian Kelly knows how to win. Listen, the only reason he didn't win a national title at Notre Dame is because of the controls they put on it. The two things you can't control when you're the head coach at Notre Dame, you can't control academic requirements to get in, you can't control discipline.
Or
Ultimately,
facilities.
well, right. Oh, the facilities are bad too, but other people have
Yeah.
bad facilities. But the two things that make Notre Dame different is that those two things. So it's a hard place to coach. It's hard to get the War Daddies in there, the big defensive tackles, the Terrence Cody's of the world. And I don't think that he's going to have that problem at LSU. So
I don't think so either.
I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, down
Exactly.
there, it is insane. Alabama's a loss for Tennessee by all prognostications. UT Martin is a win. Kentucky's a very interesting swing game at Neyland Stadium. I would say
Wait,
yes.
I have to give my prediction about LSU because I didn't give it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Give it.
So I'm picking LSU,
Okay.
and I'm saying that at probably a 52% chance I'm taking LSU. And the only reason why is because of the environment down there, especially if it's a night game, which I think at that point it will be.
Yeah, it hasn't been determined yet, but it probably will be. I know they love the night games. So Alabama's a loss. I think I can speak for you there. UT Martin's a win, probably there as well. And then you get to Kentucky, which is a swing game. Kentucky's a very solid program. So Kentucky could win that in an ugly game. I think Tennessee actually wins that one too. I'll go ahead and tell you that of my swing games, I think Tennessee goes 3-1, and that's why they win 9. But what do you think about Kentucky?
Stoops is good. Stoops got he has them where they need to be. The one that I don't know if Tennessee beats Alabama this year, but I think it's a lot closer than it would be. I'm not giving it just hands down to Alabama, but that's also, I'm always very critical there. So I'm not giving it hands down. Roman Harper knows something that I don't, or that everybody else doesn't, because he thinks it's going to be the biggest challenge of Alabama's season.
Well, he must know clean living because the guy's like in his 50s and he looks like he's about 32.
He's not in
We
his
interviewed him. If
50s.
you want to check that on YouTube, it is there, and he was very insightful. He said, as Amanda's referring to, that Tennessee's the scariest game on the schedule. And then, okay, so George, you didn't give me much on Kentucky. So Kentucky, is that
Kentucky? I'm gonna give it to the Vols on that one.
okay? So Georgia's
about
probably a loss. Missouri's probably a win. And South Carolina is the last swing game of the group. So I know this sounds weird, Amanda, but I got Tennessee individually predicted in each of the swing games, which would be South Carolina. I'm not counting Pitt as a swing game. I think they win that. That's me personally. I have Florida, LSU, Kentucky, and Missouri as swing games. So I'm picking them in each one of those games. However, I know they're going to slip up and lose one. So if they go 3-1 in those, and everything else plays out as it should, I've got them at 9 wins. So the safe bet for me to say 8 wins, but I'll go ahead and vote on our today's stuff question that it'll be 9 wins.
I have them dropping LSU and possibly dropping Kentucky.
Fair enough. I can roll with that. All right.